Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on rendering in Maya. This is our blob project we've done in class, and if you've watched the videos, you know that we've already set the project window under File and Project Window. Let's talk about how to properly render this scene in the render settings. This will apply to any project moving forward that you need to render for class. Under the Rendering tab, there, go to Render and Render Settings. This window will literally tell you everything you need to know about your renders. The first thing you should do is just make sure that this says Arnold Renderer here. The second most important thing is this right here, the path. This is where your renders will go. So when you render your projects in class, all you have to do is open the render settings and look at this path. These slashes denote a new folder, and you just simply follow the folder treasure map to wherever it is you told Maya to put your images. This is why it's so important to set your project in the project window, because it's going to put your images and renders in the place you told it. Now, let's look at some of the other settings below. If we were just doing a single frame render, we would leave this as single frame in the metadata right here. Name.extension. Everything we render out is an EXR. That is a high quality format image in the 3D world. So we want to keep extension at the very end here. If we wanted to do an actual animation, we would have to change this option here to name.number.extension. These others are appropriate as well. However, if you render it out with the number at the very end, then you probably won't be able to open these in Premiere as an image sequence. So always, for my bang for my buck, I would choose name.number.extension. Always. You don't have to mess with frame padding. Here's where you start and end your animations. You're starting on frame 1, you're ending on frame whatever. This is where you keep track of what's next. If you end at frame 51, the next time you start rendering, you start at frame 51. Okay? This is also very important. If you've got multiple cameras in the scene, you have to tell Maya you want specific cameras rendered. You can also add multiple cameras to be rendered here if you wanted to. So for this animation, I haven't created any new cameras, but I could render the perspective camera and the front view camera if I wanted. If you don't want one of these, you can just simply click the trash can. Down here is your presets, 540, 720, 1080, and every other preset that you can think of. These will be the three that we normally work in. You don't normally have to change anything down here. The only other thing you may have to change is if you're wanting to turn up the quality a little bit, we can change these numbers up a single digit, but you may want to consult with me before we do that. Normally it's okay to leave these where they are. Once you have made all the appropriate changes here, you click Close, save your file. Then you would come back to Render and Render Sequence, and you choose the square right here. The reason we choose the square is we have to make sure that the current camera is set to the one that we want. As you can see, I don't want the front camera, I want the perspective camera, and sometimes Maya changes that. So you have to make sure, especially if you have an additional camera, that this camera is set to the one you want. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time rendering a camera that you didn't ask for. So come here and double check this option as well. From this menu, you can click either one of these buttons to begin your rendering. It will render in the scene, and when it's done, you can close it and start the next batch. To render live, all you have to do is click on this little eyeball icon right here, which is your render view, and it should automatically play on your computers, but there's your live view. And if I were to go around in the scene. It can re-render things. You can also go down to Render and Arnold and turn on the play button here. And it will do it live. Remember the cardinal rule, you never ever hit the play button while it's rendering live, because that will cause your computer to probably crash and you will lose work if you haven't saved it. There is no way Maya can keep up with what you are asking it to do in real time when you hit the play button. So please be cognizant of that fact. Other than that, that is how you render in Maya. That is where you go to get your files. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.